Now, this is a question I've asked many diplomats that have come to Albania and left Albania, and I want to ask you the same. Now, I observe that in Albanian society, the media, people, politicians often look to the EU ambassador, the US ambassador, the British ambassador, German ambassador, for almost like guidance on things. They look for their word, for their guidance, for their view, and this is sort of, and I compare it to other countries I've lived in where I didn't even know the names of these ambassadors. There's no sort of link in the public discourse between them. And I wanted to ask you, do you feel this situation of foreign diplomats playing sort of the peacemaker sometimes is more prevalent in Albania or more developing democracies than other more established democracies? Is this a phenomenon?
Yeah, I cannot really compare, but I knew that the EU ambassador here counts, and what you say has to be weighed carefully. I know the region, and I know that in other countries the international community played a big role. If I consider also what happened in 2016, of course the US and the EU were very at the heart of the judicial reform, which was a revolutionary reform. So I was aware of the fact that we have an important role to play. But as I keep on saying, I'm also very respectful of the sovereignty of this country. I think it's a mature democracy. And my role is not that of a political commentator. You know, I'm not there to say, oh, this is good, this is bad, this is good.
You're right, you're wrong. Yeah.
I see my role more as saying sometimes, if you do this, it's not really in line with your long-term objectives of joining the EU. This is not really going in the right direction. Particularly when, you know, it is stated that it is. So I feel compelled to give my opinion. And obviously, I have sometimes expressed my wish that, for example, the situation in Parliament was addressed and that the country went back to normal parliamentary life, but simply because I felt that this was a key condition for adopting those reforms that Albania has to adopt.
Yes.
So I felt it was part of my role of helping Albania towards joining the EU. Besides that, I really don't feel it is my role to give guidance. Privately, I might convey messages, but I really try to, refrain from taking public stances.
Wading into the battlefield.
I had a meeting with some journalists who said, why don't you speak up more, or politicians that, send me letters about situations which might be regrettable, but I think they have to be addressed by politicians, it's not for me.